Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Welcome, everybody, to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm Ray Flowers. As you can tell, I'm super excited. Not only am I Santa Claus behind me, I'm also enjoying the holiday season. I guess that's what happens when your significant other goes to a foreign country and you're just left to go nuts. I mean, I haven't got out of my sweatpants all week. I really haven't. I haven't got out. I've changed sweatpants to go out and take the dog. I got poured on with rain yesterday, all that kind of stuff. But I've been slippers, sweatpants, basically all week long. I'm loving it. You know, just hanging out, as they used to say. So hopefully wherever you're at, you're having a good time as well. Again, I'm Ray Flowers, Twitter, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all those social media places at the Ray Flowers if you want to see my craziness, including my Instagram account where a lot of fun stuff gets posted, having nothing to do with sports. You can find me here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman hosts here. You know the drill, right? I'm here with you 4 days. He's with you one. Excuse me. Mondays, I'm here solo reviewing the previous weekend games. The rest of the week, we have Justin and I hosting, going solo for about a half hour. And then the second half of the show, talking with one of our experts from FantasyGuru.com. So let's put on the screen what we're going to do today. And that expert is, as always, on Thursday, except for last week because we did a switch. But we're back to normal here. Tyler Buecher will join us today. And we're basically going to talk to him about Thursday Night Football, Rams and Seahawks. But we're also going to, and there's the text, of course, right as the show starts, from my significant other. She is in Iceland, so I'll give her a break. She doesn't necessarily know the time. He'll come on to talk Rams and Seahawks in about a half an hour. He joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to spend a lot of time talking tight ends. I've gotten a lot of questions. Excuse me, geez. Hold on a second here. I'm going to have to clear my throat. Let me clear my throat. I'm having problems today. We're going to talk tight ends because I've gotten a lot of tight end questions over in Discord at FantasyGuru.com. It's one of the biggest positions of concern for people. And I know there's a lot of parity at that position, and you want to play the matchups a little bit. You don't want to just stream tight ends. Like, there's a lot going on. So we'll talk to Tyler Buecher about that in about 25 minutes. Before that, we'll talk about Week 16 and what's going on. Lots of players, especially the wide receiver positions, some good, some bad. It's still early on a Thursday, right? It's 9 a.m. Thursday morning here. Just not a lot of information to go on in some of these scenarios. In some of these scenarios, we're getting a little bit of clarity. So we'll talk about that. Remember, go to FantasyGuru.com for $49.99. The rest of the way, you get all of our football coverage. All of it. Seasonal NFL, seasonal college. Well, not seasonal college because it's basically over now. But college bowl games, all that kind of stuff. Let me just say it this way. You get the football package, you get all of our football coverage, whether it's seasonal, DFS, or wagering. All of it. Every article, every live stream, every podcast, every ranking, every projection, every Discord room, because we have separate Discord rooms for everything. All the football coverage, college or NFL, $49.99 the rest of the way. Get signed up. The only thing it doesn't include is the Super Bowl betting guide. It's the only thing for football we sell separately. But you get everything else. Jump in there. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send an email to support@fantasyguru.com and join the largest active community in fantasy sports, as Jeff Manns always says on the Elite Sports Show, which is Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, 2 to 5 there. I'm with Jeff on Wednesdays when I'm not here. Jeff's obviously there every day. Core 4 Friday on the show later today. So check that out, Ted Schuster and Jeff Manns. And again, fantasyguru.com. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send an email, support@fantasyguru.com. And before we even hop into more goodness, remember as well, I'll throw it up on the screen for those of you watching the show. We have the all-in MVP plan. The MVP plan basically covers everything besides football and baseball. So that's basketball, hockey, go Sharks, NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, on and on and on. That's the MVP plan. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. And finally, as we push for sales here at the start of the show, it is the holiday season. We have gift cards available. And if you're looking at the description on YouTube, you see the full thing. Basically, whatever gift card level you buy, we give you free bucks. Buy a $25 card, we give you 10. Buy a $50 card, we give you 15. Buy a $100 card, we give you 25. Buy a $200 card, we give you 50. So you can buy the gift card, give it to somebody, give it to yourself. $25 gift card, we give you $35, right? You spend that 50, we give you 65, et cetera, et cetera. So now is a great time to do that for the holiday season. Holiday stocking stuffers, or just give it to yourself. You deserve it, right? You've been a good guy. Oh, you're a good gal. Here we go. Let's look at some of the comments here. And remember, we can view comments. Morning, Santa Ray, says Greg. Hello, Greg. Morning to you, too. Doc says, Ray, I hope the lasagna's been delicious. And an update on the lasagna, for those of you that don't know, my significant other is in Iceland. She was afraid I wouldn't remember how to, despite living by myself for over 20 years, wouldn't be able to feed myself. So she made me, I thought, one lasagna, but she ended up making 2 lasagnas. And I mean the full platter tray. I estimated 14 pounds of lasagna. So, yeah, how's it going, Doc? It's going pretty good. It's very tasty. I do feel like for the next week, I guess you can't really do it next week, but for the following week, all I'm going to eat is soup and salad because I've taken in a lot of calories. I'll say that. But it's been really good. I'm down to, I got through all of it except for what I'm going to have for breakfast after this show for what my allot for the week was. Now, the problem is my mom, bless her heart, ordered me a Omaha Steaks. We had no idea it was coming. So I had to we ended up putting a lot of the lasagna in the freezer. We also have some leftover turkey in the freezer. We're going to eat that next week. Well, now I had to remove another chunk of lasagna because I had to stick all the meats in from the Omaha Steaks. I had to take everything out of the box because the boxes wouldn't fit because our freezer is jam-packed with food. So, yeah. So now I have to eat more lasagna. It never ends there, Doc. Never ends. Let's see here. Questions. Oh, we see a bunch of questions here. All right, good. We'll talk to Russell Clay. Excuse me, Armando. Let me get the right one. I didn't say Russell. I didn't say Armando. Forget that. Tyler Beaker. Tyler Beaker will be joining us in about 20 minutes. And we will ask or answer your questions that have been asked. Remember, if you're watching live or even on demand, you can always check us out on youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Any of those 3 places you can watch the show. If you're watching live, you can leave comments, all that kind of stuff. Right now that you've seen it, you can always listen to us in podcast form as well, just by going to the website, fantasyguru.com. At the top of the page there, just click the Elite Plus tab. You can find all the shows, including this one, that are on the network. And you can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily when you're listening to Spotify or Pandora, iTunes, YouTube Music. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily, and you should be able to find us there. All right, a lot to talk about here. Let's start out with Rashee Rice. And this one, Rashee Rice got blasted over the weekend. We all saw it. Shoulder, some head. He got hit really hard. And there was a little concern, and they kind of just got, brushed under the carpet, and everything was okay. And there was a report that, his head and wasn't a big deal. I didn't see it as a big deal in fantasy universe. The places that report news didn't really pick it up. But he was placed in the concussion protocol, Rashee Rice. You probably have seen it by now. He didn't practice yesterday. And, this does happen. And we've talked about it where a player gets hit, gets hurt, passes the test, everything's okay on a Sunday, and then on a Monday, you're not okay. And so in the case of Rice, he reported on Monday and had some symptoms, so they put him in the protocol. When players are put in the protocol on a Monday, it's very unlikely they're going to play that week. Okay. Doesn't mean it's impossible for Rice to play. He could absolutely play this week for the Chiefs. But with their season over, with Mahomes on the injured list, did you like the report, by the way? Did you see that Mahomes is already working working on his rehab? It's like, bro, what kind of rehab are you doing a day after your surgery? Like, I just love the NFL hype machine. He's already working. Of course he's going to do what the doctors tell him to do. He's got a chance to be available for week 1 next year. He'll probably get there. I wouldn't put it against him, but let's back off on he's doing therapy a day after his surgery. Come on. Anyway, back to Rashee Rice. It's unclear completely if he's going to play this week. And that's obviously not good news for Gardner Minshew. It's obviously not good news for those people that have Rashee Rice, because Rice, let's be clear about Minshew. He's a short area target guy. He's going to love throwing to Rice and Kelsey. And those guys, we could be getting I have something in my eye. I apologize for keep trying to get it out. We could have a scenario where we're talking McBride and Wilson kind of stuff with Brissett with the Cardinals. That's likely to happen with Rice and Kelsey for Minshew, but I don't know if Rice is going to play this week. So Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Marquise, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, who's also dealing with the head injury, so he's not certain to play this week either. So, I see a lot of people get nervous about Kelsey in particular this week. I would say Gardner Minshew targets the tight end heavily. I would have no problem whatsoever starting Travis Kelsey this week, especially if Rashee Rice is out. We'll see a little bit more to everybody. Maybe Juju Smith-Schuster becomes a DFS option. I wouldn't use him in a seasonal scenario. But obviously, this is really bad news for the overall offense, and it does put a damper on those people that had picked up Gardner Minshew and hope to use him, in Superflex and 2 QB leagues. We saw Christian Watson get hurt, unlike Rice, where it was kind of like, well, maybe he's okay. Watson got hurt, and it looked like he was over. It looked like it was through, done. We've talked about him on the show earlier this week. Looked like it was his shoulder. They said it's his chest. He was down on the field. Like, it was bad. He was at practice yesterday. I saw a video on social media. He's running routes and looks fine. He's going to play this week. All right, so he will be out there for the Bears. Out there for the Packers against the Bears, excuse me. So that's good news for, obviously, the Packers team. I don't know what – if you're starting Watson, it's the same thing. He can't stay on the field. We know that. He's dealt with injuries, ineffectiveness up and down. But he is the number one option here, that his return to action lessens the excitement about Jaden Reed. Another big issue that the Packers are dealing with, obviously, is Josh Jacobs. Hopefully everyone, and I know that's not the case because I was answering a question in Discord this morning, hopefully everyone that has Jacobs has Emmanuel Wilson, as you should have, for weeks and weeks and weeks, if not all season. Jacobs has got that knee, and he's kind of so it's unclear. It's Thursday morning. It's 9:15 on the West Coast. It's unclear if Jacobs is going to play this week. Hearing a lot of he's the toughest guy out there, all that kind of stuff. Just getting an update here a couple of minutes ago. He didn't practice today, did Jacobs? He did not practice today. We'll see. He doesn't need to practice to play. We know that, but this is a scenario where, not practicing Wednesday, not practicing Thursday. It's late in the year. It's a game they want to win. So they could, Friday's important. Friday's really important with Josh Jacobs because we'll get that determination of, whether or not he's actually going to be able to play. We just don't know at this period of time, but we do know that his teammate Christian Watson, barring some kind of setback here, which isn't anticipated, should be able to play this week for the Packers. Also looking at the news wire right now, Anthony Richardson's been designated to return from the injured list. Now, that does not mean that he'll play a game this season. Does not mean he'll ever take over as the quarterback one for this team. We know Phillip Rivers is the quarterback this week. We know Riley Leonard is the backup quarterback this week. Opening the window, we've seen this, right? You get 21 days. We just saw it with Trey Benson. Not everyone gets activated. We saw it with Marshawn Lloyd with the Packers. Like, not everyone that gets this window open ends up returning to the field. But this is good news for Richardson. Maybe he's out there week 18. Maybe he gets a chance to play a game, and then we can all have fun in the DFS world and dream. But just wanted to point that out. It's still Phillip Rivers this week, and it might not matter anyway. Playoff aspirations, all that kind of stuff. But right now, it's Phillip Rivers with Leonard as the backup. All right, next up, what are we talking here? We are talking T. Higgins. T. Higgins, limited at practice on Wednesday. Big day today for him. He got some limited practice time in last week. It didn't play because of the head injury, as we discussed here on the show. It was borderline asinine to even at any point last week to give a serious consideration to starting T. Higgins. It should have never happened. I'm glad they didn't start him and play him. He does have the extra week. We'll see. I'm currently anticipating T. Higgins playing. It's a matchup with the Miami Dolphins, who, benching Tua Tagovailoa, and that team's not going anywhere. They're out of the playoff mix. A letdown is highly possible for the Dolphins here this week. So I would think that T. Higgins, if active, has got a good shot to have a nice game. If not, it's Tinsley and Andre Yosavash, as we've seen. Burrow is an interesting guy too. Because did you see the report yesterday where Burrow said, "I'm going to be with the Bengals next year, but I could see a scenario in the future where I'm not a Bengal." Like, I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow. Like, there have been some under the radar rumors that this guy might retire. Like, I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow. The bottom line is we're playing Joe Burrow right now. He's a top 10 quarterback right now, especially if T. Higgins is back out there on the field. Marvin Harrison has got a heel injury. We know that. It's caused him to miss game action. He practiced yesterday, so we're wheels up. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. But very good news that he could return this week against Atlanta. Interestingly enough, Atlanta's guy, we'll talk about him in a second. He might be back to face the Cardinals. Obviously, the return of Harrison makes the 14 targets to Wilson less likely to happen, right? Oh, he only gets 8. Oh, yeah. The bottom line is this, that Brissett has thrown for 249 yards in every start he's made. And he's had 2 touchdown passes in every start but 1. He's going 250 and 2 every week, right? And being able to diversify with Harrison back out on the field is only going to help matters. So we'll watch that closely. Obviously, with this scenario against Atlanta's beatable defense through the air, we'll look at Michael Wilson, McBride, and Harrison all being viable options, and even Michael Carter. He's definitely a flex option this week. I think that's absolutely fair to say against the Falcons. Tetairoa McMillan did not practice on Wednesday because of a foot/ankle injury, and this is a concern. Hasn't done much the last couple of weeks. Jalen Coker's caught 4 for 16, a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks. McMillan is more talented, period. He's better, period. He's the guy you should be playing over Coker if he's on the field, period. I don't know if he's going to be on the field this week. So those people that picked up Coker and if you added Coker, you're legitimately hoping for 10 points. If you added Coker, you're legitimately hoping for 10 points in a PPR setup. You're not hoping for the touchdown. If McMillan's out, the floor in terms of targets goes up for Jalen Coker. So that's definitely something to watch. Dave Canales said that yesterday when he was asked, "Hey, what's going on with McMillan?" Said he was trying to block against the Saints and his ankle got rolled up on. They're going to try to get him on the field today. That's what we heard yesterday. So there's not a scenario right now with McMillan that it's doom and gloom and we're freaking out. But keep an eye on this. And then, again, a lot of people, we had a question yesterday on the Elite Sports Show. Someone wanted to start, Bryce Young. I've said this with you guys and gals so many times here on the show. Bryce Young has thrown for 210 yards twice this year. It's just no. The answer is not Bryce Young. And the answer really isn't Jalen Coker, even if McMillan is down. But it certainly would make it more reasonable to have him in a starting lineup than if he's out there on the field for the Panthers. Going back to that matchup we just talked about, Drake London, we heard from his head coach, Raheem Morris, that there was a chance he was going to play this week. We then saw him practice yesterday. Woohoo! So, Drake London, okay. Raheem Morris then said, by the way, yesterday after practice, here's the quote, "Looking forward to seeing how much he'll be able to give us this week," unquote. So, leaning toward London is playing. We'll have to follow the next 2 days because really we have no idea. He's missed a month of action with his knee injury. We still have not heard really any movement with Garrett Wilson. It was Wilson and London. Are either one of these two guys going to come back in meaningless games down the stretch? London's got a chance. Again, he was back at practice yesterday. Just because he's practiced yesterday does not mean he's going to play this week against the Cardinals. But again, I'm leaning toward him being active. Obviously, a huge benefit for the offense, a good boost for Kirk Cousins, a slight ding for Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is still a top 10 tight end, even if he's on the field. You just have to look at it that way. He's been their receiving option, obviously, with London out the last couple of weeks, as he should be. I think he has 20 targets the last 2 weeks. Let me pull this up. 22 targets. 22 targets the last 2 weeks. The last 3 games where London's been out of the mix. 6 for 80 each of those 3 games. I can't tell you to expect that if London's back out there, but I would still say that Kyle Pitts, working with Kirk Cousins, is a tight end one this week, even with London back out on the field. Fantasy Arnold says, "I am hungry for lasagna now." Well, I get it. And if you were here, I could probably share some because I still have pounds of lasagna left. And again, it's homemade. It's really tasty. It's, there's a veggie one. There's a meat one, like she went both. So, it's really nice. And yeah, Garfield, remember the cat Garfield for those people that are old like me? You love lasagna too? I have a Garfield shirt somewhere and I wore it out to the grocery store. And the lady says, and we were picking up, this wasn't this last week, but like 2 months ago, picking up some pasta. And she goes, "Oh, you like lasagna?" And I thought to myself, "Oh yeah, I like lasagna." And then I looked down, I'm like, "Oh, I'm wearing a Garfield shirt." Yes. And I said to her, "Sorry, yes, I like." So yes, it's good. Tasty Arnold, Fantasy Arnold. It is good stuff. Next up, Odunze did not practice yesterday. Odunze didn't play last week. He didn't practice yesterday. We've talked about this on Monday. We broke down the oddness of what occurred with him on Sunday. Not practicing yesterday. We're basically have heard the team saying that they're going to have to protect Odunze from himself. I really don't think Odunze plays at this point. I could be surprised. We'll see. But the vibe and what you're hearing and the quotes, I don't think Odunze plays this week. So DJ Moore up in the rankings to face the Packers. Now, unfortunately, Luther Burden also didn't practice yesterday with his ankle injury. Now, the Bears the last couple of weeks have had the wide receivers hurt, and they've been in and out of practice for weeks now. So this is wouldn't be a shock if Burden did play this week at all. Wouldn't be surprised if he was back on the field today or certainly back out on the field tomorrow at practice. But as of now, it's not looking good for Odunze, and it's questionable for Luther Burden. The DJ Moore thing is, he scored a couple touchdowns in 2 of the last 4 games. He's also done nothing the other 2 games, right? Like, I think we have him ranked 28th, something like that right now at fantasyguru.com. I could look at him as a wide receiver 3 in that matchup with the Packers. With Odunze out, if Burden is also out, we have to get even more excited about DJ Moore, though that's, again, a difficult and risky place to be because he and Caleb Williams certainly haven't been on the same page a lot this year. But Olamide Zaccheaus is the guy that obviously would also be in play for those of you that are desperate. Hopefully you're not in the fantasy playoffs, but he would be in play if that scenario played out that way. Devin Neal has been ruled out. As I have said here on the show last week, I think I said it. I certainly said it this week. With Devin Neal being out, and Kamara's not officially out, which is interesting. He's not going to play, but he's not officially out yet. I said when Kamara went down, I said, look, I'll go Devin Neal. And I had Devin Neal on multiple teams, actually. But I said, I'm not going because someone asked last week, do we go Estime or Hull? And the answer was no. And my answer is still no. Like, I don't want to play 3rd and 4th running backs, guys off the street, guys off practice squads for a team that's not very good. Now, I will say this. The Saints have played much better of late. Their defense has been pretty strong. Evan Hull and Audric Estime are the 2 guys that you would be considering using. The problem is I don't think either one of them dominates the backfield. I don't think, and let's be honest about this, no one on this team is running for 75 yards on a weekly basis anyway. I would start Estime of the 2, as I said yesterday on the show with Jeff. I still maintain that position. So Estime is the answer. If your question is which running back from the Saints do I play? If you're then asking me, Ray, do I start blah, 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 or Estime? It's going to be blah, 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 and not Estime. So that's just my thought on that. Chris Rodriguez, who disappointed us last week while JCM ripped up the Giants, he was back as a full participant in practice, so he looks good to go this week. So he would almost certainly take back over the lead in what has been a shared backfield all season long for the Commanders. So for those of you with JCM, I don't think he's startable. Rodriguez against the Eagles, you don't really want to do that either. Like, Rodriguez was just at the point where we were starting to feel somewhat comfortable with him, but coming back off an injury and with the success JCM did have last week, even though it really was matchup based, a little bit of trepidation starting him this week. We heard this yesterday. Dolphins are going with Quinn Ewers as quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa has been benched. Not only has he been benched, he's actually the 3rd quarterback. He's going to be the emergency quarterback this week. Mike McDaniel basically came out in the press and said he just didn't play well enough, period. It just didn't. That doesn't work. And now this is another one of those scenarios where the Dolphins gave Tua $200 million. And no. I mean, just no. Now they're talking about what's going to happen next year. He's due like $56.7 million next year or something like that. Or that's his cap hit if they release him. I forget. The NFL's numbers are all fake anyway. But the bottom line is they're in big trouble because they're going to take a massive hit. Are they going to put a guy on the bench with a $56 million cap hit? Is he going to be their number 2 quarterback? So they're in a spot which, again, was predicted. Jeff Mann's do a victory lap, Jeff. Jeff said this. He said it. He said it for years, and he got so much flack. He went viral and was attacked by about 1,597 people that were Dolphins fans. You probably remember if you've been around for a while. And now they're all wrong. Dude got benched for Quinn Ewers. The negative here is Zach Wilson is still the number 2. Wilson came out in the press yesterday and basically said, look, I'm kind of confused here. They told me what was going on. I don't quite get it. because Wilson has been the number 2 all season long. Going to stay at the 2. So Zach Wilson's not going to be back with the Dolphins next year. That's obvious. Quinn Ewers is not very good. Jeff Mann said that when you watch Quinn Ewers throw, he said he's going to make you think that Tua Tagovailoa has a strong arm. That's what Jeff said yesterday. So we'll see how it goes. I guess he's a super flex option against the Bengals because the Bengals' defense is not good, though. The Bengals played a little bit better than we've anticipated defensively here of late, but still, Quinn Ewers, no. The answer is not Quinn Ewers. The Vikings, offensive line, follow this, right? I know a lot of you don't pay a lot of attention to offensive lines and all that kind of stuff, but pay a lot of attention to this, okay? Center Ryan Kelly, right tackle Brian O'Neill, left tackle Christian Darrisaw. All of them are dealing with injuries. So that's your center, your right tackle, your left tackle. 3 of their offensive linemen may not play this week for the Vikings. That would be really bad. Okay, so keep an eye on that in the injury reports. Remember that. One guy, 2 guys, 3 guys on the left side, on the right side, the center. Keep an eye on what's going on with the Vikings. That's a potentially scary scenario that's playing out there. And then finally, Woody Marks, who was injured last time out, didn't play. Juwan Jordan went big in the second half. We all saw that. His coach, after the game, said he was going to be fine. Woody Marks will play this week. He should be okay, all that kind of stuff. Well, Woody Marks didn't practice yesterday. I'm assuming this is them just giving him a couple extra days. But we saw that Nick Chubb returned to practice. I don't know what's going on here. It's a smash spot against the Raiders. The Texans are going to win the game. They're likely to get out to a lead. They're likely to run the ball a ton in the second half. So you're going to want to be potentially invested here in Woody Marks in this backfield if he plays. Keep an eye on what happens. He gets hurt every game. Jeff Mance has been very vociferous about his lack of support for Woody Marks because of the fact that he can't finish a game without getting hurt. But that's a storyline to watch. They initially said he'd be fine. Didn't practice yesterday, probably just being cautious, but keep an eye on the practice reports with the Texans. Let's see here. I'm just seeing what everyone. Well, we're visiting with Tyler Buecher here in a couple of minutes. He's going to talk tight ends, and obviously, as you can see there on the screen, he'll talk with us about the matchup on Thursday Night Football. Andrew Critchley says, Ray, I got Mayfield. Stick with him or go with Nix or Stroud. Stroud is in a good spot with that matchup against the Raiders. It's a smash spot. The problem is, will they shut their offense down and just, again, hand the ball off the entire second half because they're up 21-0 against the Raiders? I mean, it would be the shock of the season if the Raiders defeated the Texans, right? It's just Raiders got 75 yards of offense last week. Looks like Geno Smith is going to return this week. Maybe they get 175 yards of offense. Texas going to win that game. Knicks against the Jaguars. The Jaguars, pretty solid defense, if being honest here. But the fact is that Bo Nix played best game of his career last week. He was really good. He was really good last week. And then who's the third guy? As I'm zipping through the screen here, I just saw that Tyler joined us. Will be with us in a second. And the third player is, Baker Mayfield. Mayfield's going to have his full complement of players. Mayfield has really struggled, though. I mean, he's struggling to throw for 200 yards. I just can't feel good about that. He and the entire offense has just kind of hit a wall, if you will. Over the last 6 weeks, the Panthers have allowed only 6 touchdown passes in 5 games. They've also intercepted 5 passes. So, not a defense that's struggling against the quarterback at this time. Of those options, I'm going to go Bo Nix. So that'd be my answer there. Again, very close, especially the top 2 guys. But I'd be going Bo Nix this week. Andrew, hope that helped you out. All right, it's Thursday. Every Thursday we talk to my man Tyler Buecher, or almost every Thursday. We didn't last week because we had a scheduling thing. But hey, every other week, it's Tyler Buecher on Thursdays. He always comes in, talks some storylines for the week with us, looks at Thursday Night Football, talks a little bit about a potential bet. He often gives a free bet here for all of you on the show here. Remember, you can go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, send an email to support@fantasyguru.com if you would like to, which I hope you will. Sign up for the football product the rest of the way. All of our college coverage, all of our NFL coverage, seasonal, all of it. DFS, all of it. Wagering, all of it. One low price, $49.99. So to get all of Tyler's work, live streams, articles, access to him in Discord, sign up over at fantasyguru.com. Here he is, the one and the only Tyler Buecher, fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing good, Ray. Getting ready for the holidays and keeping busy over here. Trying to keep pace where we've got a lot of traveling going on my end. So, working from ahead. I got my DFS wide receiver coach posted a little bit early today, but ready to dive into these game scripts. We got games on Saturday. It's just a chaotic end of the season. Shout out to anybody that's still in these fantasy playoffs. It's been a grind to get there, but the NFL does not make it any easier these final few weeks.
They really don't, and I understand what they're doing. During Christmas week, I get it, but we don't need extra games. At least it's not Wednesday like last year, which was ridiculous. But yeah, it's the NBA's day. Just leave it for them. Anyway, we'll have coverage over at fantasyguru.com because of the NFL. I don't work Christmas Day, so if anyone's got any questions next week, get them to me before. That's the one day a year I don't work. I won't even look at my computer once. I will unfortunately be working almost all of Christmas Eve because we've got to get everything ready, but we'll have all that stuff available next week over at fantasyguru.com. For those people that it is Christmas is Thursday, right?
Thursday this year. Yep.
Yeah. So Tyler and I won't be here with you next week, folks. So that'll be a given. But let's get into it this week. I've noticed over in Discord, we get all these questions, and it's great to see so many of our users still involved in the fantasy playoffs. There've been a lot of tight end questions. Mm-hmm. And I get it because the tight end position is one where, everyone's getting 8 points a week. If you can get 11, it's an advantage, right? I get it. You don't really want to stream tight ends. In my opinion, you don't really want to be overly aggressive if you did like with Isaiah Likely last week, right? Like it's risky. But there's a lot of names that keep coming up. So I wanted to ask you about that. I don't think we've ever done a visit with you on a Thursday this year of just talking tight ends. But Tyler Warren started out great. The whole offense did, and then they kind of plateaued, and then Jones got hurt, obviously, and Phillip Rivers is under center. In theory, Phillip Rivers to Tyler Warren makes sense. Not a lot of volume, though, in the passing attack. I don't know if it's going to change much this week, so hard not to go with Tyler Warren because of his physical skills and talent level. But where is he at for you this week? Is he a confident starter or not?
It's tough to be confident at all with Rivers under center. So weeks 1 through 14, the Colts were top 7 in pass rate over expectation. Despite Jonathan Taylor and everything we know with that offense, they were a team that lived by the pass. So again, weeks 1 through 14, top 7. They were plus 1.5% pass rate over expectation. Week 15, they were minus 17%. They went all the way into the conservative mode. A lot of dink and dunks from Phillip Rivers. What was interesting was Warren's average depth of target did not really change. So that's at least a positive. But man, when you're not throwing the ball as often as they used to be, like the ceiling just kind of lowers for Pittman, for Pierce, for Warren, everybody across the board in the pass game. So I think he goes from a top 5 option into that deep carousel of tight end 6 through 20, which is just a nauseating headache week to week where you never feel comfortable. You're always second guessing yourself. And when you look back at the week, you're like, oh my gosh, that guy was on waivers that scored 15 points. I've got 7 in my lineup. You're never going to get that guy. Just acknowledge that the tight end beyond the top 5 guys is a really tough challenge to thread the needle. I put this in our Discord. I was trying to search for it while we were chatting here. Okay. Life is too short to sweat these tight end start sits. It's one of the least predictable position groups once we get outside the top 5. Stick with the rankings or with the guys that got you to the dance. That's the best advice I can offer.
Yeah, and I've always said, and I maintain this even this week, that streaming tight ends, I just, in some scenarios, sure. But again, I was pro, and I think you were too, pro Isaiah Likely last week, pro Mark Andrews. They had a great matchup against the Bengals, the horrid Bengals defense against the tight end. And they combined for 2 catches for 20 yards? Or it's like, so...
Tough with Lamar. I mean, Lamar had 8 completions in that game.
12 balls, right? Yeah, it's like, geez Louise. They ran 40 plays. Like, oh gosh.
Bizarre game there.
Bizarre. And sometimes that happens. But anyway. Colby Parkinson. No one wants to believe in Colby Parkinson, but his quarterback might be the MVP of the league. His quarterback loves to throw the ball at the goal line. Parkinson's got 6 touchdowns in 6 games. They're playing tonight. I know we're jumping the gun here because we'll talk about the game later, but I wanted to ask him because his name's coming up because he's on the waiver wire in a bunch of leagues.
Yeah.
And the Rams run this, 13 personnel. They set a record last week, according to Pro Football Focus, the most snaps in a game. So Parkinson's always on the field. He's not a big volume guy per se, but he did have more volume than normal last week. And again, he's always getting in the end zone the last month and a half. Is he kind of is he a must start? Is he ahead of Warren? Where is he at this week? Devontae Adams doubtful to play.
Right. I do not believe Adams is going to play. That injury looks severe. And this is a team that has really high postseason aspirations. Risking him to come out here these next 3 weeks seems silly to me whenever you've got the Super Bowl within your sights. So I would be very surprised if we saw Adams tonight, and very surprised if we saw Adams at all the rest of the season, which kind of stinks for anyone in fantasy playoff championships. But that's really just what I'm reading here in terms of the tea leaves. As far as Parkinson, his usage has gone up in consecutive weeks, 4 straight weeks, where he's up to an 18% target share last week. We saw a huge play from him, which a controversial touchdown, the first one. Yeah, wasn't the score. Yeah, okay, we agree on that one.
It was not a touchdown.
Not a touchdown, but as somebody who picked up Parkinson and streamed him last week, thank you, Colby. This week, they grab a rematch against Seattle. Imagine we're going to see a lot of 12, 13 personnel, a lot of heavy sets. So, yeah, I think he's a great play. I'm not really worried about weather. I know there's like a lot of wind concerns, some rain concerns, but the Seattle defense is allowing a ton of production to tight ends, third most yards per game. They're very zone heavy. It just sets up for a lot of Parkinson to find the soft spots in the zone coverage and for him to produce. The question is, does he continue this red hot trend of reaching the end zone every single game? That's the dice you got to roll. I think it's a fine dice roll, given that he's gotten there, 5 of the last 6 games, 6 total times. But yeah, I think he's probably in that tight end 8 to tight end 10 range. So if you're contemplating him versus some other guys that are in that mix, I'm probably going to skew towards Parkinson, just given we've got Stafford on this red hot streak of his own where he's just continuously balling out like an MVP. Without Adams, they're going to need some help around the red zone as well. Parkinson's clearly shown some rapport there. I think he's a strong play this week.
Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. What about Coleston Loveland? He, he splits the looks with Cole Kmet to some degree, but as we talked about earlier in the show today, both Luther Burden and Rome Odunze really looking kind of spotty for Rome Odunze in particular. So it's one of those scenarios that if you're without your number 1 and 2, I mean, DJ Moore's still there, but like Olamide Zacchaeus, like we start getting down this pecking order, and it makes sense to think, well, if that's the case, maybe we do go a little heavier with the looks toward the rookie tight end. What are your thoughts with Coleston Loveland this week?
You can add Cole Kmet to that injured list too. He's been limited all week in practice with knee and ankle injuries. But yeah, that's a lot of players that are going to be potentially out. We saw last week DJ Moore got there in touchdowns, but it was only touchdowns. Like he only had just a handful of receptions. I believe it was just the 2 catches for the scores. Green Bay, last time these 2 teams faced off, it was just 2 weeks ago. So we've got this like recent data. That matchup was pretty hysterical to watch because it was a very boring first half. Nothing was really happening on either offense. The second half, I don't know what was in those orange slices, but the run game really got going for the Chicago Bears. That run game helped open up the pass game. Loveland ended up getting in the paint later in that matchup. I like him as a top 12 play this week. They go on the Saturday evening game. So there's 2 games Saturday this week for anyone just
pay attention.
Catching up. Yeah, got to pay attention where they start sits. It's going to be a nuisance. Again, I divert. Sorry. Getting upside over here.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at this Loveland matchup, I think we could see a path to him putting up a top 12 outing here. They just need to get going sooner in the game rather than just kind of waiting for it all to unfold in the second half. And Green Bay is just like mentally on the downswing after last week's loss, the injuries that they accrued. I think there's a good chance that the Bears, like that last game, I mean, it really came down to Caleb Williams throwing a late last fourth quarter interception. I think this could be once again a 1-score game. They're playing in Chicago. I do like Loveland, especially with all these injuries. But again, this is probably a spot where you'll feel better about it once we get more inactives announced. Luckily for us, this is early in the week. Like I said, the Saturday game, so we don't need to wait until Sunday at 4 o'clock or something like that, 4 o'clock Eastern. So you'll have that information. But as of now, I do believe Loveland has top 12 potential. I'll be starting him in a league like over Hunter Henry. I prefer Loveland over Henry. I prefer him over Brenton Strange. Some guys that are probably on the waiver wire that might be some either ors that some people might be battling.
Well, Brenton Strange, let's talk about him because he's another name that keeps coming up a lot. You just mentioned him. Strange is, when your quarterback has 6 touchdowns and throws for 300 yards, it's like, oh yeah. And then you look and it's 4 touchdowns of the running back and you're kind of like, oh, damn it. Right. Like, that reaction when you start looking at the numbers, if you didn't see the game, you're like, oh, they threw for 330 and 5. Strange has been fine. And he is certainly part of this offense, but Brian Thomas starting to come around a little bit. Jacoby Myers is obviously there. They welcome back Parker Washington from injury. Are you out on Brenton Strange, or you just have preferences above him? Like if you had Brenton Strange, is he one of those guys you would consider replacing this week?
Yeah, if Parkinson were out on waivers, I'd be going after Parkinson over
Okay.
Strange. You nailed it, though. The return of a healthy Brian Thomas Jr., the return of a healthy Parker Washington, it's really sapped kind of the fantasy allure of Strange, where when Strange immediately came back from IR, both those guys were kind of banged up to varying degrees. It is an interesting matchup against Denver. I think this could be a postseason preview of games that we could see like in the divisional round or something like that. They are number 12 in most fantasy points per game allowed at tight ends, so I could see the Jacksonville run game struggling a bit and them having to lean on Strange. But there's just so many options here where it's tough to get super excited. I would actually prefer Parkinson because I think it's a bit of a cleaner play.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com, joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go about a half an hour with Tyler. You can also find him over at the website all the time in Discord answering questions. On Tuesdays, he's often on the live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time talking seasonal. On Friday, he hosts the DFS show Friday night for the live stream there. Who's on with you this week? Do you know yet, Tyler?
I'll be having the one and only Armando Marsal on.
Oh.
Yes, we'll be chatting the slate starting at 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday.
So busy. And then, of course, all the articles, which you already talked a little bit about today. Oronde Gadsen. No one cared at the start of the season. Then all of a sudden, he's catching 5 passes every week. Everyone cares. Then for a month, he caught a total of 7 passes in 4 games. No one cared. Last week, he's back at it. 4 catches for 61 yards. Where are we at with Gadsen? We've talked a lot about the Chargers offense, and you kept saying they're so heavily pass over expectation, all that kind of stuff. It's going in the other direction now. Now they're starting to go more with the running backs. Now they're starting to, you're starting to look at the receivers and wondering, these receivers are all going to hit 40 yards in a week, right? Like it's getting really rough here. Part of it's the health of Herbert. Part of it's the offensive line. Herbert's constantly under pressure. Where are we at with Oronde Gadsen? Because again, moments this season, it's like, yeah, and last week was good, but the last month, not so much.
Yeah, it's been rough. You mentioned the 4 for 61. That's the first time he's reached double-digit fantasy points since week 9. It's been a disastrous last 5 weeks for Gadsden. I do think this is a good spot for them. This is the second highest game of the slate. Chargers, Cowboys, it's indoors. We've got a Cowboys pass defense that has a really poor linebacker play, really mediocre at best safety play. I think it's a good spot for both Gadsden and Ladd McConkey to a certain degree to attack the middle of this defense here. I'm very curious to see what happens with Dallas and Quinn Williams, who has been a game changer ever since joining Dallas with that trade from the Jets. His presence has really slowed down opposing rushing attacks. And if he's clearing concussion protocol, so he exited last week's game with a concussion, if he's able to clear protocol, I'm much more bullish on the passing attack with guys like Gadsden and McConkey. Otherwise, we could see quite a bit of rushing from this two-headed monster that we've got now between Hampton and Vidal.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. What if we move on to the situation that we were all, I'm trying to think, 96 hours ago, all of us were saying to ourselves, Darren Waller, Bengals, week 16. Yeah. Yes. Then we had last week, and again, the Ravens game was 24-0. They stomped them out. But, the lack of production with the tight ends last week against the Bengals makes you nervous. The Bengals numbers against, I was talking about this yesterday. I think the 2 tight ends had what did they have? Andrews had 27 yards or whatever the hell it was.
Minuscule, yeah.
Yeah, whatever the hell it was. Over the last 5 games, they've still allowed 550 yards to the tight end, meaning that they're allowing 140 yards to tight ends. It's just terrible. So they can't cover the tight end. We know that. Darren Waller, though, does nothing all game long against the Steelers until the fourth quarter. Did nothing for 3 quarters. Then he showed up in the fourth quarter. Okay, great. He got in the end zone a couple of times. Since he's returned, 3 catches for kind of 40 yards, not really doing much. Quarterback is getting benched. Now we're going to an untested rookie, Quinn Ewers. How excited are we about Darren Waller? Because again, 4 days ago, we're like, yeah. Now it's like, well, not so sure.
I'm in the not so sure boat where I'm very unenthusiastic about this play. I thought it was a fantastic smash spot to begin the week, but Quinn Ewers is a big drop in talent in quarterback. So I don't want to take too much away from preseason data, but he was not good in the preseason. 2.33 seconds to throw, 6.1% turnover worthy rate, 53% completion rate, led all preseason quarterbacks in pressure to sack rate at 40%. So those numbers, let me add some context to that. If we compare those stats against regular season quarterbacks, that's the number 1 fastest time to throw. This dude's just panicking. He's just getting rid of the ball.
Yeah.
He has the number 1 highest turnover throw rate. He has the number 2 lowest completion rate, Shadora's got that one. And then the number one highest pressure to sack rate. So yes, the Bengals stink in every metric against tight ends. But I truly believe there are superior waiver wire plays than Waller this week, who has largely gotten by via touchdowns. I don't know how often the Dolphins get close to the red zone here. I mean, the Bengals are pretty poor, but for a guy that's centered his fantasy points around touchdowns, I've got a lot of question marks here. So I would probably go elsewhere than Waller.
So disappointing, right? It seemed like we said, you were rubbing your hands like a villain. It sounded like it was such a good thing 5 days ago. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. I mean, there are some teams where you question where's the effort level. I think with the Raiders, there's no question it's just not good. You can blame the players, you can blame the coaching staff, you can blame everything. The bottom line is it ain't working. It's just not working, right? Offense last week, Kenny Pickett, I was hoping to be a little bit better than it was with Geno Smith. It was actually way worse. They had like 75 yards of offense. It's remarkable that in that game that Brock Bowers caught 6 passes, to be fair. It's remarkable given the context of the game. Problem is with Brock Bowers, even if Geno Smith is back, I mean, you're looking at Bowers and, I mean, 6 catches, 4 catches, 4 catches, 6 catches. So he's averaging 5 catches the last 4 games. It's pretty good. He hasn't hit 65 yards. Like, he's in that 11 point a week zone, which, yeah, you're still starting Brock Bowers. You're not, come on, we're not benching Brock Bowers. But against Houston this week, what's the outlook, Tyler?
We got to really just hope that he watched his buddy Trey McBride and can mimic what he did last week, because now it's Bowers' turn. The problem with Bowers, though, is, like you said, you're not sitting him or benching him because the replacements that you're getting off waivers, their ceiling is basically Bowers' floor. I mean, touchdowns aside. Touchdowns can swing tight end scoring drastically within a given week. Bowers' ceiling, however, is miles ahead of the waiver wire fodder. So I've got Bowers in several different leagues. I will definitely be still playing him. I got championships on the line. I'm still rocking and rolling with Bowers for better or worse against this really tough Houston defense. My hope is that we get a lot of garbage time production from Bowers where they're just sitting back in some prevent zone and just really not allowing explosive plays, which that's great for Bowers. He can rack up the receptions with the best of them.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. You can follow him on Twitter X at Tyler Beaker. Let's talk some Thursday Night Football before we answer some of the questions in the chat room here. We've got the Rams in Seattle. You mentioned the weather a little bit. Just a refresher course on weather from you, Tyler, because this is where at that time of year where people start getting really nervous when they see weather reports. What is it? Snow? Is it rain? Is it wind? Like, what concerns you when it comes to the weather?
What normally concerns me most is wind. Wind starting at 15 miles per hour is where we want to start adjusting our expectations for the long passing game and field goals. Key word there being sustained winds above 15 miles per hour. And then we've got the fear of this game here. Let me just pull it up real quick. Yep. We've got 15 to 20 miles per hour wind, and we've got gusts of up to 40 miles per hour. So it's going to impact some of the long passes, the field goals. I envision we've got rain here coming in too. Usually I don't really care about rain unless it's like heavy sustained rain.
Right.
And the forecast for this one, let me see. Chance of showers. So it doesn't seem like the rain's really going to be an issue for this one, except for maybe getting the field wet, the ball wet from time to time. So it's more just the wind that's the big issue for me. And that could affect, I think, Darnold specifically, because he's gotten through with a lot of big chunk gains to JSN. Puka's kind of been intermediate to short with some yak, where it's not really a big it's not really going to impact his performance much. Mm-hmm. Then we've got all the tight end play that we've got for both squads, where that's kind of really just thrown out the window as well, with them generally being lower averaged up the target options. So really, I'm just kind of looking at the wind of impacting the kicking game the most, and maybe a few of those deeper shots are going to be a bit more challenging.
Rain didn't stop me from walking my dog yesterday. I played through it, Tyler. Played right through it. The whole hour I was out, I got rained on. I played through. Tyler, let's talk about the Rams first. We've already mentioned Parkinson and what his outlook is. If you missed that, it's early in the show, folks. The Devontae Adams listed as doubtful. Guys listed as doubtful don't play. It's like 2% or something. So he's not going to play. So let's talk about the passing attack overall here against that Seattle team. What do the Rams do? They're going to still throw the ball. They're going to obviously target Puka Nacua heavily. But Mumfield, Whittington, Atwell, do you see a win here with one of those guys if Adams is indeed out?
Yeah, numbers wise, it's a tough one to play because we've got limited data because there's been so many injuries with all these depth pieces that there's been like a rotation of sorts among the guys. Mumfield has quietly been the guy that's gotten the most looks over the in terms of snaps for the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
Keep in mind there's been some rotation in terms of the availability of some of the guys behind him. Atwell was on IR for a bit. Whittington's been in and out with injuries. So there's the chance that that's not necessarily cemented that he'll be the guy that steps up. And then again, this is also a team that plays a lot of 13 personnel where they'll just have one wideout out there. Yep. It's not always Puka that's always out there, by the way. True. Usually it's been Adams. So with Adams out of the fold, maybe it is Mumfield, who's kind of that bigger bodied X guy that can block. He can catch some passes as well. I think he might be in the DFS showdown kind of option for you to consider, but not a start sit option. The tight ends are where I'm probably more bullish here with the Rams, where we've got Higbee. They have not activated him off IR despite him being eligible for it. So we're going to see, that's why Parkinson's getting so much buzz in his recent performance. Mm-hmm. We got Terrence Ferguson, the hyper athletic rookie. We've got Dennis Allen. Like there's some depth here. It makes Terrence Ferguson's the most exciting play in my eyes because he's a round 2 pick that they were comfortable taking in round 1, but they're like, let's just fleece the Falcons for a future first instead. Good for them. They are looking like brainiacs after that trade. But yeah, Ferguson's the most upside play in my eyes in terms of the tight ends behind Parkinson.
He almost had a big play last week too.
He did. I was super excited for that. So I've got a lot of best ball squads that are in the championships and stuff, like now trying to progress to the next pod and like DraftKings and Underdog. A lot of those had Ferguson lineups that just did nothing, unfortunately. Maybe this is a matchup where they gets going with Adams a bit banged up. But it's really, I think, just going to be a boatload of volume for Puka, and then the rest of these guys is kind of filling out around. Last matchup was really odd, where Seattle had 84 plays of offense, and the Rams had like 40-something. Very curious to see if that plays out again. The defensive coordinator for the Rams, Chris Shula, had Darnold in a blender, 4 interceptions in that matchup. Very curious to see how round 2 goes, because that's what fascinates me the most is the move and the counter move. What is the counter move that we see tonight by Seattle, and does it find success? Because the spread has flipped over the last 24 hours, favoring the Rams now to Seattle.
Backfield for the Rams. I keep seeing at least questions about Kyren Williams because of the involvement of Blake Corum, and I try to point out to people, Kyren Williams is running for 70 yards in the touchdown every week. Like that's every single. He's like running back 9 this year. Okay, Corum is involved. He is part of the offense. We know that. Okay, Seattle's good against the run. The weather could be in play that we talked about too. So, you're going to tell me maybe less excited about Kyren Williams. I still think you're going to tell me he's a must start. I think it's more about Blake Corum, but go through the backfield with the Rams for us, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean Corum's just kind of been that thorn in Kyren Williams' side, but a lot of that's come during games that they've just had blowout game scripts where they've just been able to work from ahead. I don't envision that being the situation in this game with the spread being so close. We got weather. I'm kind of envisioning this one to be on the lower scoring side. Kyren Williams to me is still a top 15 play every single week. Despite all of the Stafford touchdowns that we've been seeing through the air, they're still getting scores for Kyren. Like, he's still finding a way to pay dirt almost every other week, if not every week.
Yep.
When you're averaging 30 plus points per game, everyone tends to get involved. So I think he's still a strong play here, despite the Seahawks being one of the better run defenses that we've seen all year. That said, there's been some instances where they've been able to be beaten on the ground, where it's kind of been like more of the surprising teams that do it. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Kyren get, I don't know, let's say 15 to 20 touches in here, 70 total yards from scrimmage, and a touchdown. That, if I get that from Kyren, I'm pretty happy.
Tyler, what about the situation in the backfield on the other side with Seattle? This is one where we've talked about this before. Everyone's talked about it. Neither Walker or Charbonnet is starter with a bullet because the other guy's there. Walker's been more disappointing given the expectations, but it's not like Charbonnet's really done anything either. He's just got some touchdowns that Walker hasn't gotten. Tonight, any keys for one of these two guys going off against the Rams, or both of them?
The Rams are doing fantastic in terms of slowing down the run. They're the number 2 defense in lowest rush success rate over the last 8 weeks, 3.7 yards per carry over that span. I'm just not excited to play either of these options. Walker to me is like a very back end RB2, like RB23, RB24, where it's him. Like I got questions him versus guys from the Washington backfield.
Right.
I'll take Walker here, sure, because he's got the home run ability. But my goodness, I am just not excited about Walker. But if you're in a fantasy playoff championship and you've got, like, here's a question from Red Supreme: Walker versus Estime. I would take Walker because I don't think Estime has the juice to hit home runs. Coker might be the more exciting play. I like him quite a bit, but let me back that one up a bit. I would go Coker over those two, but Walker versus Estime, I would probably go Walker. So I'd rank this grouping Coker, Walker, Estime, but I just have zero excitement about any of these Seattle backs. Charbonnet is consistently there to steal red zone touchdowns, and touchdowns have really swung his scoring, Charbonnet's scoring, and really prevented Walker from being any kind of a dependable asset. Where we're excited for 12 points for Walker, which, listen, if that's your expectation, I think you're not going to be disappointed. Just keep that in mind. Like we're looking at a capped ceiling here. You're really just banking on a home run rushing attempt from him. Last time these two teams faced, I think he had a gain of 25, but outside of that, he was averaging 2-point-something yards per carry on all of his other carries. So you just really got to hope for the explosive run. If there is anybody that's good at creating explosive, it's Walker, but this is not the best run defense that allows explosives.
Tyler, I got another follow-up question here from Doc. To me, this is going too far. Now, maybe you'll disagree here. Kelce with Minshew seems like a match made in heaven, especially if Rashee Rice is out, which we talked about earlier with his head injury. Kelce will see double-digit targets this week, I would assume. Parkinson, basically putting Parkinson in and then using Kelce as your flex. Parkinson has to score a touchdown. He's not catching 9 passes. He's not going for 120 yards. He has to score a touchdown to really pay off. Do you want to play this? Would you go Parkinson as your tight end and then flex Kelce, or would you just play Kelce in your flex?
I would play Kelce
in your tight end spot. Excuse me.
If there's a good shot, Parkinson's stat line tonight is 4 for 36, and if he doesn't get in the end zone, you're not happy. You're looking at that all the way through Saturday and Sunday, like Kelce's there, and he's got the juiciest matchup against the Titans, who just gave up a boatload of production to George Kittle last week. And you mentioned the injuries to Kansas City. They've got Rashee Rice in concussion protocol. They've got Tyquan Thornton in concussion protocol. They've got Marquise Brown, who missed last week's game due to a personal reason. He's still not practicing. Who knows who's going to show up for Kansas City? What I do know is you can definitely throw against the Tennessee Titans. And Kelce, like you said, I think he's legitimately in line for double-digit targets in this matchup. He's got nothing to lose. He's talking about the Chiefs instead of we. He's talking like Kansas City. He's not using himself in there anymore. I think he's really just kind of signaling this is the end. He's got 3 more games. Yeah. Let's go out, set the world on fire, rip up this Tennessee Titans secondary. I'm playing Kelce with a lot of confidence this week.
So am I. That's why I said play him earlier too, Doc. Greg Martinez, Gadsen or Strange? We talked about them both. I don't know if you directly said which guy you'd prefer. Some pluses, but obviously some minuses for both guys that you detailed. Gadsen or Strange? You got a preference there, Tyler?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to go Gadsden because I like the Chargers-Dallas game environment more. Indoors, the game total is 49 or 49.5. It's the second highest total of the slate. And I'm going to really just try to target that game total, knowing we're targeting touchdowns with the tight end position. Give me that over Strange versus a very tough Denver Broncos defense.
Doc has a question about the tight end spot. We've talked about 3 of these guys. We didn't talk about the 4th one. The 4th one is Dalton Schultz. Schultz had a big game last week. Was it 8 catches and a touchdown? He's been going 5 for 50 every week. His floor is basically as high, or his floor is as consistent as any tight end in football. He hasn't gotten the end zone much, so we're not seeing 20-point games for him, but he's catching 5 for 58 yards like every single week. It's a smash spot, but the question is, what does the second half look like in that game between the Texans and the Raiders? So what do you think here?
That's a tough one, man. How do you have all these options, Doc? What are we doing here?
Right?
I'm hoping you've got Schultz and the rest are just on your waiver wire or something like that. And, for that reason, I'd probably go with the guy who took you to the dance. Like we've been talking about it to begin the show. I think Schultz is somebody that probably is your starter that you've probably been leaning on week in and week out. I would continue to stick with him, even against the Raiders. Cover 3 defense that allows some catch and run opportunities underneath for Schultz at the tight end position. I'm okay with that.
Greg, you have a question about the running backs. Harvey or Walker? Harvey is the guy you want to start at the running back position.
Yeah, practicing full too.
Yep, practicing full. He should be fine. Ribs are not an issue, it doesn't look like. Now we need 2 of this, and this is a more difficult call. Chase, Zay Jennings. I don't know what Zay means. Who is that? Yeah. Well, Chase, Jennings, or Mike Wilson. Let's go 2 of that. We're going to start Jamar Chase. He's always starting it. There's never a question. So it's Jennings or Mike Wilson. I guess there's a question about Wilson. I hinted at this earlier in the show, Tyler, that, if Harrison's back, which looks like there's a chance it's going to happen, Mike Wilson then doesn't get 15 targets. He gets 8, right? Kind of thing. So Jennings or Mike Wilson, do you have a preference there?
Yeah, we are waiting for that news on Marvin Harrison Jr. because it greatly swings the target volume and opportunities for Mike Wilson. If Marvin Harrison Jr. plays, I would go with Jauan Jennings. If Marvin Harrison Jr. sits, I would go with Mike Wilson. That simple, black and white.
Brendan's got a question, and I answered this exact question in Discord earlier. I don't know if that was you, Brendan, or not. Tyler is not pro cuff like I am. We've had this discussion a lot. Tyler, if you have Jacobs, how do you not have Emmanuel Wilson if he's available? Jacobs has been hurt for weeks. He missed a game. Wilson went in and was Jacobs in the game that he had 30 touches in the game. Even if you didn't have him then, if someone else dropped him, he's back on the waiver wire. I don't understand how you didn't go and immediately add Wilson. You have to add Wilson. Jacobs may not play this week. He missed practice again today. We talked about it earlier on the show. You have to add Wilson. But again, dropping Bigsby, who is the handcuff to Saquon Barkley, I hate doing that. In this instance, I think you got no choice because of the health of Jacobs or lack of it. But you don't want to be dropping handcuffs in the fantasy playoffs. That, to me, is a bad decision.
Yeah, I'd be looking to drop somebody else. You probably have another wide receiver that's kind of a fringe option. Maybe it's like a wide receiver 5, 6 kind of grouping. I'd throw that guy out on the waivers instead and try to pick up Emmanuel. We've got DNPs back-to-back for Josh Jacobs. He's just at the point where it's like a dice roll every time pregame warm-ups. Is he good to go or is he not? Because he's just kind of limping to the finish line right now.
And even when he plays, he's on the sidelines and they're working on him. He's grinding it out,
Yeah, shout out to him for soldiering through, but he's definitely beat up right now.
He's no Woody Marks. Michael Carter or RJ Harvey? I mean, Carter, I think, is a flex option. To me, it's Harvey. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with Harvey. I like his ability to create explosives. They're using him in the pass game. You can almost say the same thing for Carter, though. He will be battling with DeMarcado. That's kind of really it. It's going to be Carter in that 70% snap share, probably 70 or so % touch share as well for the backfield. But I think this passing attack for Arizona is really just going to flow through the other guys, where Carter, we're looking at 3 to 4 catches, and maybe he gets going in that capacity, but I'd much rather lean on Harvey, where I think there's probably a cleaner path to volume in a game where Denver's at home, they're 3-point favorites. I think there's just better setup for him versus Carter, who's playing in Atlanta as a 3-point. I think it's in Atlanta. I'm not sure about that one now. Let me just double check that real quick.
Atlanta, I'm looking at it.
In Arizona. It's in Arizona, sorry. But they are 3-point dogs in that matchup. I think Bijan goes pretty ham in this matchup, and we're forced to see Jacoby drop back 40 to 50 times again. So I'm going to go with Harvey because I think just lack of volume and opportunities for Carter.
Curbs has got a question about kickers, and he says he or she hates kicker leagues. I hate kicker leagues, and this is the perfect example of why it's freaking stupid to be using kickers. Jason Myers had 6 field goals last week, right? Okay. He leads the NFL in field goal attempts. He leads the NFL in field goals made. And we're talking about benching him because of the weather. Just stupid. Don't ever use kickers again, folks. Time to move on. Is there enough going on here that you would be nervous? I mean, to me, kickers are fungible anyway. It's like, so you go to the waiver wire and you grab Nick Folk. I mean, it's like, would you make a move here? Because Myers has been terrific, including last week where he won the game for the Seattle. Yeah,
I would. I mean, I think we're at the point where we're getting 15 to 20 mile per hour winds, 40 mile per hour gusts. That really does impact the ability to kick 50 yarders or greater. I've got Myers in the league of my own, and I forgot about him. But I will be making a move where I will not be starting Myers this week. So I think kickers are kind of a dime a dozen. I generally tend to just stream the position, trying to aim for shootouts, games that are inside in domes, games where they've got a tough red zone defense or a tough third down defense where we've got more kicking opportunities. Myers, to me, is kind of like a back-end kicker one, like kicker 10 through 12, where if you can find somebody off waivers that projects similarly, go for it. I think that you can. There are not many weather impacted games this week, so willingly going into one seems like an unnecessary risk with championships on the line.
What about this one? This is an interesting one. Drake May or Matthew Stafford. Both guys playing great. I think both guys, according to a lot of people, top 5 in MVP. Both guys really doing some things here. We talked a lot about Stafford in the matchup tonight. Drake May, is he better play than Stafford on a short week in a difficult matchup with some potential weather or not?
Yeah, that's going to be another cold one. They're playing in Baltimore, Sunday Night Football. I might go that path. I think there's a good chance that one has a bit more of the ability to put up explosive plays. The wind in this Rams Seahawks game has really kind of soured me on the potential of it hitting the over. We've already seen it drop from 44.5 down to 42.5. Conversely, Patriots Ravens opened at 46.5. It's now up to 48, where it's increased in the game total. So I'm just going to try to chase the points. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Both these guys, like 1-2 in MVP voting, can't really go wrong with either one. But you throw in the rushing skill set of Drake May, I'm going to go with May here.
And we skipped it here before we shut things down. You always have a bet, since we were talking Stafford. We talked Thursday Night Football. Do you have a bet for Thursday Night Football? We don't want to leave the people wanting that, Tyler. What do you got?
I do. Let me pull it up real quick. I got too many tabs going on. So
bear with me, team. Remember, everyone, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Send an email, support@fantasyguru.com. If you got any questions, if you sign up right now, it's $49.99 the rest of the way. All of our football coverage, minus the Super Bowl betting guide. All of our football coverage for college football and the NFL, one low price, $49.99. Every article we do, every live stream we do, every podcast we do, all the rankings we have, Discord rooms, all of it for football, seasonal, DFS, wagering, all of it for one price the rest of the way. Go for it, Tyler.
Yeah, my favorite play tonight will be a teaser, where it's a 2-team teaser. You're adding points to that. So if anybody's never done that before, you basically add points to the spread. So the Rams right now sit at +1.5. I like adding 6 points to that, so you get +7.5. That's basically saying the Rams are not going to lose by more than a touchdown, more than 7 points. You can have that 6-point teaser. I like bringing it back on the other side with the Houston Texans, bringing them down to -14 to -8. Let's start with the Rams side. They are 6-0 against Seattle with Stafford under center. I was very impressed with defensive coordinator Shula, as we talked about, against Darnold in that first go around. And I really just think the wrong team's favored here. I don't understand the swap in terms of the spread going in one direction, but it's something that I find very exploitable right now. This team has yet to lose a game by 7 points. So grabbing +7.5 in a game where I envision whether to make things lower scoring, it just seems like it's too many points for the Seahawks to put up without the Rams battling back. Then the Raiders against the Texans, this Raiders offense just could not get anything going last week. I don't think the return of Geno Smith is really going to provide any kind of spark whatsoever. This Texans defense, one of the best out there. They are among the league's best defending the pass, defending the run. They're really going to give this Las Vegas Raiders trouble across the board. And then their defense, the Raiders, man, this team, I think this team just wants to fast forward to the end of the season. Like this whole coaching staff is probably going to get nixed. I don't know what's going to happen with Geno, but the Raiders are just kind of circling the drain. So I'm fine with punching up on them or punching down on them every single week to close out the year. So I like this play where Rams +7.5, Texans -8. You get that where you usually do your teasers.
And remember, if you want to get all Tyler's work, he covers seasonal, he covers DFS, he covers betting. FantasyGuru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner for all of his information the rest of the way here. Tyler, as always, thanks for your time today. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the holiday week next week. You mentioned you're traveling and all that. I hope it goes well and smooth. Tyler and I won't be on next Thursday because it's actually Christmas Day, so we won't see Tyler for 2 weeks here on the show, but he'll be around. He'll be writing his articles, giving his advice over at FantasyGuru.com. So happy holidays to you and the family, Tyler. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Happy holidays to you, Ray, as well, and happy holidays to everybody watching. Good luck this week, and good luck with all of your future fantasy championships. Go take home those trophies, guys. Good luck.
Let's do it. We'll be back here on the show tomorrow. It'll be Russell Clay and myself here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Fantasy Sports Daily, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern, the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So an hour from now, a little less than an hour from now, you can check that out over there on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. For Tyler, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com.